Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to My World. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, your friend and mine, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Oh, Conrad Thompson, we are coming off I was going to say weekend, but I'll just say week. It's been a long time since I packed a bag on a Sunday and got back home on a Sunday, but I did that last week, and it was a good week. Man, oh man, busy week, and we are in the dog days of summer, but Conrad, I cannot wait to hear your comments. I got a few questions for you. The topic's going to be fun. I'm wondering if we're ever going to get to it, but no, we will. We'll get the topic in early, but the topic's going to be fun. But Conrad, pal, let me throw it right back at you, partner. What a week, man. What was let me ask you, what was your highlight of the week? And I know you steer the ship here, but I may be altering your news and notes and topic and questions, but what was your highlight, pal?
Well, I've got two. Personally, it was a highlight having my daughter Kansas participate in her first Starcast. She got to check out the first, or not the first, but she was at Ric Flair's last match. But she actually got to work at Starcast really for the first time. She was a huge wrestling fan way back when. We'll call it, 2014, 2015, 2016. Okay. But by 2017, she'd sort of, I'm done with wrestling. I'm over it. So we didn't start doing Starcast until 2018. So it wasn't ever an interest of hers. But she expressed some interest, tagged along. She had a blast. So just seeing her of reinvigorate her wrestling fandom and be a part of it, and we got to do it together. That's probably number one. Now, as a fan perspective, as random as this is, I bumped into Monty Brown in the restroom. And I said, "Oh my God, dude, I can't thank you enough for being here. I'm so thankful that you're here." And he told me that he knew I was telling the truth because he listens to this show. Now, Monty's not on social media, but no, not only did he say he listens to this show, he said he really appreciated some of the things I had said about him and some of his creative. And he was really appreciative that we did a deep dive and we sort of covered his story from all angles. And we had him there on Saturday, and I don't mean to give a spoiler, but I said, "Hey man, I really want to have you back at another one of these." And he said, "Sign me up. I'm in. This is a great event." So hopefully you'll see more Monty Brown in the future at the next Starcast. But those are my two personal highlights. There's obviously a lot of other great wrestling stuff that happened this weekend, and probably some things we shouldn't talk about on the show. But what were your highlights of the last week or so, Jeff? Because what a crazy week it was for wrestling fans.
Gosh, man, because I got on a plane yesterday morning, Conrad. Good old American Airlines. I'm not one of those whiners who bitch and tweet about it, but good old American was a little rough. But anyway, I sat on the runway for about 90 minutes yesterday, but I just had some thoughts go through my mind on the last week. I had, I won't get into it here, but I had some really good baseball things happening. Obviously, it's a part of my world, but we won't get into that. But as far as the wrestling side, I hate to tag team with you. The panel with Monty and Conrad, I said it. The question, I said, "Hey, I was probably going to have to ask this, but I know I'm going to be doing my best." Conrad, he wants me to ask it. I just said, doing the panel with Lance and Monty and hearing their friendship and just all the backstory and the fun stuff that came together, and just there's so many unique little tidbits that we got out of 45 minutes. Conrad, we could have gone easy 2, 3. We could have gone on, but I asked him, I said, "Monty, I just got to get right down to it because it is kind of a topic of discussion. When you found out the finish to our title match and you weren't winning, were you pissed off?" It was a great reaction. He said, "Better believe I was." So anyway, we had fun with that. I tell him that out of all the decisions I've made creative, I've screwed up so many times, but that is something. Do I regret it? No, but hindsight's 2020. And yes, I think, under different circumstances and where everything was out, man, oh man, Conrad, it would be real fun to have thought through. And he didn't tell me this. Like, we've never even had the discussion, but he got into how much notes and stuff he had written down and ideas. And that's the thing he regrets, not coming to me or the creative team and saying, "Hey, I'd like to do this, this, and this, 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 and this," I can so relate to being coachable and teachable. And hey, man, I'm not the coach of this outfit. I'm not the boss of that. I'm just going to take the ball and run with it and succeed. And he did that over and over and over. But we really had a good chat, man, and that was a lot of fun. And hearing Lance's story, and I don't know if you know this, but one of the cage dancers in the early days of TNA, her name was Lollipop, and Lollipop did an appearance out in Dallas, and that's where Lance met her and said, "Hey, give me a picture and a tape," and she brought that out. So the running joke that I have now with Lance is Lollipop discovered Lance. But that panel was a lot of fun. Starcast in general, Conrad, I cannot tell you, me and Karen, autograph after autograph and picture after picture that we had. Hey, man, I was at this Starcast. Hey, I was at this event. Hey, we used to never miss Orlando. I remember, Jeff, I just saw you at so-and-so, all this. But just kind of the fans that came through the line, reconnecting and having the experiences. And there was a gentleman that got on a plane in San Francisco that flew directly there. I met a gentleman from Dubai. All kinds of folks, man.
A guy from Chile was at Starcast. How cool is that?
Chile, yeah, there was really it was very, very cool to kind of see that experience was good. And then the entire day on Saturday, Globe Life Field, Rev Entertainment, I'm working with some of those folks through my baseball stuff. They're the division of the Texas Rangers, the entertainment and events and all that. They are first class. And so many people backstage, but just the entire event. We'll get into matches here if you want. But I know 0 Hour and the set and the look. I kind of feel like I was on Fox Game Day, and Renee is such a pro. But man, that kind of the entire Saturday was a highlight to me. But man, it was I love it. It's an experience that if you're a wrestling fan, and if you're not a wrestling fan, you need to know, because it is, Saturday's one of those days that, maybe long, but I just don't know any other form of entertainment. I think Live Aid had its 40th anniversary, and that was, a long event, if you will. But man, all 50 states, 29 countries represented. So All In was you know what? And we don't know if we're going to have another All In the States in the foreseeable future. It's going back across the pond. So good time, my man. Good time.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with AEW and All In next year. I think they've already made it public that it's going to be back at Wembley Stadium.
They have.
Of course, AEW presented one heck of an extravaganza. If you count the pre-show and the post-match presser, it was a 10-hour day, man. A lot of people working overtime on the AEW side of things to create the spectacle that we saw at Globe Life Field. I don't know that any final numbers have been released, but we're hearing more than a $3 million gate. We're hearing in the neighborhood of 30,000 fans in the building. And what they presented, Jeff, on paper may have been one of the greatest cards in AEW history. Of course, we know along the way there had to be some changes. I guess we should just address the elephant in the room. Adam Cole was not able to defend his title against Kyle Fletcher, so they created an interim championship. It did create one heck of a moment, almost accidentally. Dustin Rhodes is the new champion, celebrating with his nephews. Those are the Rhodes brothers on the outside there. And, of course, on the inside, he holds the 6-man titles with the Von Erichs. That's as Texas gets. It was a cool moment that was created with a real sad piece of business. I know you've got to know Adam Cole pretty well in recent years, as you've both shared a locker room on the AEW side of things. Man, that guy was, one of the stars of Ring of Honor, and then NXT, and now AEW. And man, you just hate to hear. I think the reports are out there, or whispers are out there, that it may be another concussion situation. Your heart goes out to Adam Cole when he's got such a big opportunity like that, and he is just being vulnerable in front of the entire stadium. That was an emotional moment, Jeff. You've seen this sort of thing before. with once upon a time, Bryan Danielson and Christian and Edge and other guys who thought maybe their career was being cut short, but they were able to come back. We're hopeful that that's how this winds up for Adam Cole. But from a wrestler perspective, what would your advice be to a young Adam Cole going through this right now?
And see, I want to be very careful how I respond, because I don't know the exact situation. Just
Sure.
But Adam, I knew him at WWE some, but sharing a locker room, me, him, and Shivani all have April 6th, different years. Shivani was 85. I'm 86. Obviously, Adam's much more sooner, but that's the first day in the business. It's kind of our birthday or anniversary as far as entering into the business. But, Adam, my gosh, I cannot really put it into words in that. I'll just say this. If it is a concussion, I am, and this may sound crazy, I am very, very hopeful, because it does heal. But you got to give it time. It is, I understand that through my personal experience, that it took quite some time, like a long time, to finally. And I don't know what's kind of a gut punch is that, Dynamite and Collision, and like there was no, I don't say ambulance, but no massive red flags, this and that, this and that. And so the biggest stage of the year, and I don't want to call it an old school mentality, I just think it's in the, and it's not just a wrestler, but an athlete's DNA, in that, okay, the biggest stage of the year, I'm going to get through one more match. Somehow, some way, we're going to persevere through this and get it done. And so I respect the hell out of him arriving at a decision. But I think that also is very, very telling to me, that he brought it upon himself to go, you know what, man, again, my understanding is I'm just not right. So it's heartbreaking, Conrad. He is how old is Adam? I mean, he is a young man. I don't, again, it's hard to really put into words, because it's not just heartbreaking, but
36.
It's 36 years old. I'm going to remain hopeful that whether it's a year or whether it's 2 years, whether it's 3 years, but the brain and the human body has miraculous abilities to heal itself if you get it the right opportunity, with the right nutrition and the right care. When the time's right, I may give him a buzz and let him, I'll share my experience, strength, and hope on finally kind of what got me back on track. But man, oh man, heartbreaking. I wish him nothing but the best.
We're all pulling for Adam Cole. We know that story is going to have a happy ending, because we're pulling for him, and it always works out the way it's supposed to. God has a plan, and God's plan this past weekend was for Hangman Adam Page to walk out with the AEW World Title. He is the new champion. What an incredible story. I think it's now become clear, as a fan, at least to me, Hangman and his character is maybe the central figure of the entire promotion. I know a lot of fans who were really paying attention to this sort of thing really loved that when they finally saw the belt emerge from the Death Rider's case, it still had the Daniel Bryan side plates on it. I'm sorry, the Bryan Danielson side plates on it. What a moment this was. And now, for the first time since 1996, there is a cowboy champion in Dallas this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
What'd you think of Hangman Adam Page and the pomp and circumstance of the main event this past weekend, Jeff?
You know what? On 0 Hour, we showed the sit down interview, my first ever. I never really saw myself doing that, but I got the opportunity, and man, the emotion that was going through that guy. I mean, several days before match time, to me was very, very telling in a super positive way. He really was putting the weight of his entire I'll say career, but in a lot of ways, the ascension that he climbed his way back, and so many things have happened since he entered into AEW. He's a day one guy, but just, I mean, it goes without saying, the ups and downs in life and his personal life with kids, and man, I mean, it's that was a real moment to me, as real as it gets. Battled the hell out of a nutcase in John Moxley. They battle it out, all, just the brutality of it. But when he opened the case, like you said, and brought that belt to light as him the champion, I mean, wasn't that a feel good moment, Conrad? To you, like for a wrestling fan, it just
No doubt.
it's just a feel good moment. And again, I hate to say I preach it, but I talk it all the time in so many ways, that this business is about connected emotionally. And if you didn't get emotionally connected to Hanger when he opened that briefcase and came out with that belt and put it up in the air, I don't know if you can call yourself a wrestling fan.
It was a really fun main event. Of course, a lot of people are still buzzing about the tag team match that we saw between the Young Bucks and, of course, Swerve and Will Ospreay. I think people are going to be talking about that one for quite a while. Dave Meltzer said that you could argue it was the greatest tag team match in AEW history, perhaps only second to the one from Revolution 2020. I don't know, man. I mean, when you think about tag team wrestling, it does feel like more often than not, when you're talking about the best match in tag team history in AEW, you're throwing the Young Bucks name around quite a bit. These guys always show up, and they've always got something crazy planned. That was no exception. I love that match. And I'm also curious to see what you thought about Kenny Omega and Okada. We had a hypothetical discussion about what to expect going into that show. Both men held a victory over the other, and there was a draw. So this was the rubber match, if you will. This was the decider, and Okada is victorious. What'd you think?
Well, let's go back to the Bucks first. I just think when you watch their tag match, to me, what jumped off the page multiple times, and you can almost do this in all of their tag matches, I just lean into, damn, they're creative. Just very, very, very creative. They do tag team wrestling. And, just a couple of weeks ago, we saw, I think, as good of psychological tag match with the Outrunners and FTR. I thought that was a really good tag. Again, nobody does pay-per-view better than AEW, but when you saw the athleticism of Will and Swerve, and then Bucks, yes, highly athletic, but just the creativity, you just say, all right, the Bucks just take things to a different level in tag team wrestling. It's hard. They are the tag team of this generation. I don't think there is anybody close to their creativity in tag team wrestling. And I say that with all due respect, but it's hard, they're not just their athleticism and moves and continuity, but the creative. And look, I may be going way too inside baseball, but they layer it deep. And if you really pay close attention, they just do things better than any other tag team out there. Hats off to all four of those guys. Okay, then you wanted to go into I almost got wrapped up in that. Man, yeah, Conrad, that finish caught me off guard. I just didn't see it coming. Did not see it coming. I think and I think JR said something to the effect that, it's hard to, how are they going to top themselves? And I think a lot of people thought that. And so I do think the pressure was on them. And look, they went to the ring. I mean, Hanger and Mox went to the ring 5 hours into the show or whatever it may be, 4.5. These guys went to the ring 3+ hours. They had seen a lot. And the beginning 3 to 5 minutes of that match, I think you could tell by the arena, like, okay, things have come to another level, and I tip my cap to those two guys. But I just didn't see that finish coming. But that's why we play the game, right?
Did you have a chance to check out Takeshita and Bandito in the Ring of Honor main event on Friday night, Jeff?
Buddy, you know me. So I did a baseball appearance in Cleveland, Texas on Friday night, threw out the first pitch, and that was, oh man, had a great time getting more and more engaged and figure and all that kind of American Association of Professional Baseball, that league out. But anyway, good time, all that. And I had obviously my phone in my pocket, and I was watching just little bits and pieces of it, but it timed out. I did the 7th inning stretch, Connie. I sang good old Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but I literally got done, went up, said my goodbyes, got in the car. And when I got in the car, I turned on the Ring of Honor on my dash, and Conrad, those guys were going to the ring. So my entire drive back to Arlington, my God. And I went up to Caprice and Ian and shook both of their hands on Saturday as soon as I saw them. I thought they did a phenomenal job calling that match, because there was a lot to call, but the energy and the excitement and the layers of the false finish. I literally, and again, I got to keep my eyes on the road best I can. I think 3 or 4 times in the last 5 or 6 minutes, Ian said it himself. I thought that was the finish. I said, man, oh man, that's the magic of our industry. Unbelievable match. Hats off to both. I mean, Takeshita, I don't say he's a sleeper, but my God, is he?
He is the greatest wrestler who doesn't get enough credit right now today, in my opinion. Like,
he is like at the highest levels that doesn't get enough news.
If wrestlers were stocks,
there you go.
I'd buy as much Takeshita as I could right now. Of course, Takeshita was not successful in his quest to become the Ring of Honor champion, but he is headed off to the G1. But if you go to Cage Match and you see what readers think about Takeshita, you'll see he's got so many matches that are ranked 9 out of 10 or better. Only one match rivals his match with Bandito this past weekend, and that was the one he had against Will Ospreay. Both received a 9.47 from the fans. Bandito got the exact same. It is Bandito's most well-reviewed match in his incredible history, and I saw a lot of really smart commentators on the business say something along the lines of Friday night in the shadows of that main event, if anyone has a better match tomorrow, it'll be the match of the year, because I'm pretty sure we just saw it tonight. Go out of your way to see Takeshita and Bandito, 2 incredible performers. I think that's one of the things that's so tricky about, the entire AEW / Ring of Honor opportunity at this point, Jeff, is you've got so many fantastic bell-to-bell wrestlers. It really is for the sickos. I mean, if work rate is your thing, man, you got that in spades. If you were looking for great quality in-ring work, between the Wednesday night Dynamite, the Thursday night Collision, the Friday night Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and then Saturday All In, man, not to use a drug term, but you could kind of overdose on wrestling. Great wrestling 4 or 5 days in a row there, right?
Back to back to back to back. That's why kind of coming off this week, that's what I was saying, sitting on the runway Sunday morning. It was like, damn, what a week. Very grateful to be a part of it. I'll leave it there because you summed it up. It was back to back to back. Just impressive. I did about an inning and a half of radio at Friday night during the baseball game, and Brad, he was doing the play-by-play, but very knowledgeable. He runs a small independent promotion, Lucha Brutal, but he was schooled on it. But that was the one thing I said. At the end of the day, I mean, has there ever been a deeper roster? No, I just don't think that, and that's not just flapping my gums. It's super, super deep. I mean, we've got, you look around the dressing room and that guy, there's so many guys that can go.
Well, let's take a quick break here. We've got some breaking news I want to hit you with on the other side, and we are going to get into our topic today, which is No Surrender 2005. But first, Jeff, can you give everybody that promo code? I mean, sometimes we have to spell it
Oh, the old promo code for Shotbox. That's JARRETT. That's JARRETT. That's it. Jarrett.
Do it in full blown double J mode for me one time, please.
Just Jarrett or the whole kit?
Come on, 1994 WWF TV. Do it, damn it. We want it now.
Folks, double J here. That's right. That's JEFF. JARRETT. That's double J Jeff Jarrett. The world.
Why have we not had you do that more often on the show?
I don't know where that came from today.
I love it. It makes me happy. Something else I love, and boy, I can't help it. I love noticing when there's counter programming going on, and there's been some break today, Jeff.
Get out of here. Today?
Raj Giri is reporting that NXT Heatwave is going to be airing on the exact same day as AEW Forbidden Door. This is in Lowell, Massachusetts, in that famous auditorium where we've seen Shawn Michaels and Triple H once upon a time have a mock match for the European title, I believe. I love the venue. I love the idea that we're double stacking a day like this, but goodness gracious, Forbidden Door and NXT on the same day. I, for one, like this. I know a lot of wrestling fans take issue with it, but there's more wrestling to watch on the same day as a fan. That's fun.
Dave, can you put that graphic back up? This will be on Premium Live Event, NXT's Premium Live Event, Heatwave, Massachusetts, right?
Yep.
Okay, you can take it down, Conrad. Let me ask you something.
Well, you're grinning. I can't wait to hear this.
Well, I'm just kind of sitting here. Forbidden Door is AEW, CMLL, and New Japan. I'm just broad strokes. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's 3 promotions and super, the card's going to be off the charts. The O2 is going to be rocking. I'm not real sure the bullets in the gun that NXT is going to have, but I'm going to say they're going to have
TNA.
Yeah, they're going to have some. But as the challenger brand, it just feels like what is the and look, every there's fan bases, this, that, but why do that to NXT? There is no way from an online audience perspective that and again, there's a value to this and that, but what is the upside? Because there's no doubt that Forbidden Door will blow Heatwave out of the water.
From a fan perspective online, you mean? From an online fan response?
Online fan. And look, we'll get into the business, and I understand it, and the counter programming, and they're chipping away and do this and that, just all that. And look, when you put a fast food chicken restaurant, we've talked about this, there's Raising Cane's, there's Slim Chickens and Chick-fil-A in my hometown of Hendersonville going up right across the street, 3 side by side by side. All right, we're not selling chicken here, but I don't know, Conrad, is the challenger brand. It feels like that TKO is giving us an opportunity to knock one clean out of the park again.
It is interesting because I think a lot of people, myself included, really took note of what happened this past weekend when it felt like AEW had their first big coming out party here in America with a big stadium show. They were going to do like a Dallas takeover, if you will, with a whole week's worth of events. And then seemingly out of nowhere, Saturday night's main event is at the same time. And we're going to do Great American Bash at the center stage, lean into some Atlanta wrestling history. And why not? After 7 years, we'll bring back Evolution, do an all-women's pay-per-view. So it did feel like all hands on deck. And especially when we thought, hey, Goldberg's coming back on NBC in prime time. I thought they were going to steal a lot of the online conversation this weekend. I don't think they really did.
No, sir.
I don't know if it was because the Goldberg build wasn't there. I don't know if they had the right story. I don't know what their intentions were all along. Maybe we have just sort of created that in our mind that they were trying to steal the attention from AEW, because I don't think it was necessarily successful with the online chatter. Everyone was still talking about AEW and All In. But if they're doing it again, I'm with you. The online discourse will be much more in tune with what's happening with CMLL and AEW in New Japan than respectfully it will be with NXT, AAA, and TNA.
And time zones, we'll be starting 6 hours before. Again, Conrad, and I think we're both talking. Well, I'll say this. For me, I'm talking a little bit. I don't know the data. I'd love to try to, and that'd be, I'd love to get a real distant third party data, but that has the understanding, because when you look at the quote unquote, I was there and I understand the decks and I've seen them. And when you look in totality at the WWE, YouTube subscribers, followers across all social media, it dwarfs. And I'm not just saying AEW. The NFL, and it's massive. So the analytics, I would still like to drill down, because what you just said in that, there's an upside, but on this one, Forbidden Door starting, I'll say 6 hours earlier. I don't know. That's you were granted as much as I was when the late breaking news, but again, you got to love the business. It is something that we're sitting here talking about it right now. It's 6 weeks away. It's going to create a headline, if you will, today. That's another thing. A headline today coming off. I'm sure the search traffic on All In has been through the roof. We talked about it. We started at noon Central Time in Dallas, or DFW in Arlington at Globe Life Field. We started noon on Saturday. Tony finished his press conference after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
On that night. So you just kind of look at the amount of, I'll just call it, content being created. Like I'll say, and they're out there, and I don't want to say non-wrestling fan, but the executives, and I've dealt with a lot of them through the years, that like, hey man, Jeff, no disrespect, I've never followed, I don't understand it, I've candidly, I've never really seen the value in it, blah 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 blah. So all that, no disrespect, I just don't think there's a media person in the world now that has the ability to say, I never heard of wrestling, don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's impressive. Saturday was Super Bowl like content for All In, and then you had, I don't want to jump ahead, the Saturday night main event. I think a lot of missed opportunity. I think the air went out of that room. Anyway, I don't.
No, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Saturday night's main event. We've spent plenty of time talking about All In. It is available on replay anywhere you enjoy pay-per-view. I thought it was a tremendous show. I thought they over-delivered. So many really, really cool moments. And by the way, I know that it's in fashion and tribalism is a real thing, but there is no other way to frame Saturday than a huge, incredibly successful event for AEW. When you're talking in the neighborhood of 30,000 fans in the building, when you're talking a more than $3 million gate, I mean, there was so much. And by the way, not to be that guy, it was really affordable for fans. I was talking to fans who were getting in for around $30, under $40 to get in and see that show. We're seeing some complaining online about certain events, sort of pricing them and their family out of the opportunity to attend. That was not the case. I think this was a great celebration for wrestling, and I know that people want to, sort of continually move the goalposts for AEW. Hey, and have at it. But the idea that this is one of the larger non-WWE stadium shows in American history, like in history, how many people have had that many people watch a wrestling event here in America? Number one, and a $3 million gate, like it's never happened besides WWE. No one's ever done it. So it's a high five moment for AEW. It's great for wrestling, Jeff.
Can I say one thing that I cannot believe? There's a couple of things that I've just a second ago, I texted myself, I got to remember to call this guy. But Conrad, Friday night in Cleburne, that's about 45 minutes southwest of Fort Worth is where the team is. Weatherford's a town. I was talking to a guy from Weatherford, and Conrad, he was at the ballpark Friday night. Guess what he spent all day Friday doing? Starcast. And he was going back the next day to Starcast and going to the event. And he kind of laid into, he's done pretty much all the big events, WWE. He was at the Mania. He referenced a big San Antonio and a Houston show, not just Manias. He went to Vegas. He's a wrestling fan and kind of has you could tell he has the ability to travel. He's done LA stuff. Anyway, he travels from Weatherford, but he went into a pretty long-winded, if he could have seen you, Conrad, and I'll say that he would have patted you on the back, because he said that there are a lot of fan events that he's been through the years. And he raved. He was at the Starcast in Baltimore, believe it or not. But he talked about nobody does fan conventions. He said, like Conrad. And I'm like, all right, you're kissing my ass. Give me he said, no, he says the ability to do the different panels and then the autographs. But then he finished with this. He said, the amount of time and care and effort that the Starcast team does to keep the fans updated on life happening. He said it doesn't go unnoticed to me. He said nobody does that. Like, no, that there is not a convention out there. There's not a brand out there, wrestling or non-wrestling. He was very complimentary, and he's been to your Starcast. So hats off. I think as much or more than anything, in the building on Friday, you could feel, okay, we're at a big event. And the people, God, it was packed in there, Conrad. Y'all didn't have enough room. Little warm, but man, congrats on Starcast. I'll just leave it there.
It was a great event, and yes, life did happen. You know, it's interesting when you're working on such a major wrestling weekend. And I know that there were a handful of fans who were disappointed because meet and greets ended abruptly or early. But a peek behind the curtain, and maybe I'm oversharing here, but a great example would be like Saturday. You know, Kevin Von Erich is with us, and he's going to also be on the pre-show. Now, I don't know when and how all of those things were planned, but we had a meet and greet, and we had a panel, and then he was going to do a separate group photo op or something. So he had like 3 things to do at Starcast. And right in the middle of the last thing, the AEW travel people, you know, my guy, maybe I won't say his name here on the show. He says, hey man, Kevin has to be in the ring in 20 minutes. So it became a mission I've got to go get Kevin Von Erich, and I've got to put him in a car, and he doesn't have a pass because he's Kevin Von Erich. So I've got to get him in the building and where he needs to be. So I'm trying to convince the guy on the elevator, no, he's with me, and I'm standing with Kevin Von Erich, an icon, a legend. And I'm trying to tell the hotel or the building elevator operator at Globe Life Field, no, he's fine. He's the talent. Don't worry about this pass right here says I could be here, but I got to get him going. So life does happen.
Yep.
Thankfully, we got that moment, and we got to see the claw and all that jazz. But I'm so thankful and so appreciative for all the fans for their support, because in the end, hey, Starcast is my thing, and I'm just a fan. I don't work for AEW. I'm doing my best to deliver unique, fun fan experiences. Awesome. But they are producing the biggest wrestling show in their history of their company 2 blocks away. So when something happens and there's a change of plans, like who could have predicted that Dustin would be wrestling 3 times in 24 hours, Jeff? You guys are nearly the same age. And we just heard an interview a few weeks ago with Kenny Omega, saying that after a big match, he's in bed until like 5 or 6 p for like a week. And now here's Dustin on the downhill slope of his career. I don't know another nicer way to say it. Wrestling 3 times in 24 hours. Like, everybody answered the call. It was a once in a lifetime weekend.
Gotta love it, pal. Gotta love the wrestling. All right, keep rolling. I know
Jeff, our intention, by God, is to talk about No Surrender, but we do have to talk about Bill Goldberg, because you and I are familiar with this whole last match idea.
We are.
It's worth a Google. And you and I both said last week, well, they didn't officially announce this as being his last match. So we thought, okay, that means this is going to set up future business. So I think you and I both thought, hey, he's going to win the title. Maybe there'll be a cash in opportunity with Seth. Maybe they'll actually do something with him in Saudi. Maybe there's a comeback. But we felt like there would be more to it. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, seeing the presentation, they were still careful to not say it was his retirement match or his last match, but it did feel like a proper send off. Maybe it was just a farewell to Atlanta. Maybe it was a farewell to WWE. I want to ask you, what do you think of the presentation? And do you think we'll see Goldberg wrestle at least one more time? If the over under, if we were betting today, was one more match, would you take the under or the over?
I would take, oh boy, I don't even know where to start. Conrad, I'm pretty sure the announcer said this is his last walk. So, hindsight's 2020. I feel like it just, I was kind of dumbfounded on the missed opportunities because I just don't see it happening. And if like, what is the downside? And maybe this is the promoter mentality in myself. Why not say either I'm winning the title or this is it? It's one or the other. It's all on the table. And maybe they're giving themselves a safety net, a valve that they can go back to it based on ratings or dollars or a Saudi show or whatever it may be. But it's kind of like for an old Southern saying, kiss their sister is right. Kind of just, it was just, I don't know. And
what are you saying? Like, to me, it feels like he's finished with WWE, but I don't think he's retired.
No,
he'll promote one more match. You don't think?
I don't.
I mean, if that was really it, he would have just said it. But for him not to say it,
okay,
it makes me feel like the only logical reason to not say it is WWE may have decided they were done with Goldberg, but Goldberg may not be done with the squared circle. That's my read on it.
That's your take on it. Okay. All right. Then.
Because why else would they not just call it his last match, right?
Well, what I'm saying is, why wouldn't WWE say this is Goldberg's last match in WWE? Just say it. That this is the last time he will be on WWE programming. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, promote, get it out there. And look, how many times Terry Funk retired? I mean, you can always say, well, shit, he's coming, if that is the truth, that he really had to change of heart or WWE had to change of heart. But it's like I felt like, and I didn't watch this live, but I watched it back like it was live. And it was just like, now wait a minute. This kind of felt like another segment. And that's it. And no disrespect to anybody else on the card. If you're going to lean into, and, WCW, we'll call it the brand that morphed from, everybody knows the story for NWA and 83 weeks and the birth of the NWO and all the place and stature that brand. And I still, and I've, I don't know how you look at it. I look at Sting as not a WCW creation. Sting worked territories. He worked Texas. He worked Louisiana. He worked Tennessee, and then he was a part of the NWA before it's WCW. So yes, he was a WCW mainstay and the legend and the icon, but I really look at Goldberg as the biggest creation by far. Again, I'm removing Sting from this. I'm removing Lex, any of the others. I think Goldberg is the biggest creation, which was a monster box office creation. And they kind of gave him a 2-segment. And I just think if you're going to engage, I'll call it the lapse fan, and have Bill on the show, and I know Gunther got the rub, but how much of the rub did he get? But I think Bill did an outstanding job. He's in great shape, but I think you could have given Bill could have given different young talent on the show. I think there could have been a lot more to it. It just felt like there's another TV show. Oh, it's over and done with. It's game, set, match. It
felt rushed.
Did it feel rushed or lackadaisical or both?
Well, the rushed is, I think we're saying the same things. I'm just saying in terms of it didn't feel like there was enough attention to detail. I did like some of the stuff they did though. Like
Doug Bellinger hadn't aged a freaking bit. What the hell? I love old Dougie. I love seeing him and smiling and all that. But go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
Listen, I probably shouldn't share this, but shout out to David Crockett. That was David Crockett's idea.
Come on. I mean, the aura of the Goldberg entrance, in my mind, it all starts on the knock on the door.
Yes.
Period. That's where the whole, because if you pick up, and we do it all the time in TV wrestling, you pick up a guy walking in the building, walking here, walking there, this. But kind of the Bill's entrance was shooting his name placard on a door and a knock. And who knocked? Doug. To me, Doug, hell, it's almost like he's Bill's quote unquote security roadie, like personal security. And it was, anyway, it was great seeing that. I just the whole, that's what I'm saying. I felt just the little tidbits of Doug and Kat and Zito, and just kind of the entourage, if you will, the son there. Man, I would have liked to have seen 2 hours, not nonstop. You can have in-ring action, but an entire 2-hour thread built for Bill. I that's why I was just kind of blown away that it was a 2-segment match, and goodbye.
What did you think of his farewell speech being cut short? I felt. What's that?
Did he have one?
He was in the middle of making it, and the program ended. But they did post the entire thing on YouTube. I got a chance to see that. I love that he had a chance to deliver some positive messaging. That was clearly something that was weighing on him pretty heavily. I'm really happy he got to love on his son Gage. And we even heard from Triple H in the post-match presser that we may not have seen our last Goldberg in WWE. He hopes it works out in the NFL for Gage, but they're here if and when he decides to pursue wrestling, which will be fun. He loved on his wife and thanked her. And of course, DDP was in the ring, and Doug Dillinger and Chuck Zito and Ernest the Cat Miller. And then Cody Rhodes comes down and celebrates Goldberg and thanks him for paving the way and calls him wrestling royalty, Atlanta royalty. I think it was a really cool moment. I wish it could have all aired on TV, but I get that there were time constraints. If that's it for Goldberg in WWE, we know that we're headed towards John Cena's last match, which there's lots of rumor and innuendo that maybe Gunther will be the final opponent. I still argue it should probably be Logan Paul. That's a story for another day. But if there's another act out there deserving of another last match treatment, who comes to mind to you? Is it a Dudley Boys? Is it a Hardy Boys? Is it a
nope? Connie, we've kind of off and on through the last 2 years gone through fillintheblank.com or lastmatch.com. Man, I think there's a lot because when you look at where the industry, just the amount of like Conrad, I'm coming up on my 40th year, and I was having a conversation with some licensees over the weekend, and we just kind of, the Fanatic show came up and the conventions, and we were at Starcast. That was on Thursday, but anyway, just kind of have the nowadays, Conrad, when me and you were growing up, and I'm older than you, I know that, in your mind, I would hear about, oh my God, I would have loved to have seen Dr. J, I'm a basketball guy, playing the ABA. Oh man, we didn't have the ability to pull our phone out and say, oh, here's Jordan dropping 44 and he had tape on. Like all of this is documented. So the ability to market and monetize and all this kind of stuff. I mean, Conrad, I know I have personally looked at over 10 lastmatch.com, the ability to do that, because you can create so much story around it that is a feel good moment. When you look at, oh gosh, Conrad, there's a Twitter follower or X follower I do. I think it's Rock. But did you see some of the highlights of Ozzy Osbourne's last show?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. I mean, those guys are all in their 70s, early 80s. But to me, Ozzy doing that one last sitting on the throne, and I mean, God, I just think there's so much magic you can create. And no, it's not as good as it was way back when. But I mean, there is it's a generational thing. And look, my daughters, they love them some 90s country music or 2000s. It's generational, and it's because they have the ability to have it logged in their phone and they can connect with it. So it's a generational thing. I think our generations are much more tied together because of technology. So, man, to land on one, but I do think a Goldberg last match scenario could be off the charts. I mean,
and it's still available now. I mean, that's the reason I feel like
okay.
I think that they did it the way they did it because he may be finished in WWE. That's his last walk in WWE, and in WWE parlance, that was his last match. Like
Thompson, Barry Bloom, line one. Barry Bloom, line one.
Well, I mean, I guess here's the question: you think he'll take a guitar shot? Would he be okay with nearly bleeding out in a parking lot?
I just hope. I just hope he's not buddies with Lethal and he stays away from press conferences and back lots. It's hard way.
I had a chance to introduce Jay Lethal to my daughter at Starcast this weekend. So it was his first time meeting her. So I made sure to say, "Hey Jay, I want you to," so I did the whole thing. And I had to explain. I said, "Now, just so you know, this is technically one of the guys who tried to kill Papa Rick in a parking lot in Nashville." And Jay goes, "That was Jeff. That was Jeff. All Jeff." I don't know why, but it tickled me that all these years later, nope, not it. Not it.
Oh, Lord.
Did you ever have I'm looking online. I think you only ever had one singles match with Goldberg. And it was a lumberjack match in Milwaukee on Nitro where Roddy Piper was the special guest referee. I think every other time you were in the ring with Goldberg, it was a multi-man or a tag match or something like that. Does that sound right? You only had one match against him and it was a lumberjack match with Piper as the ref?
I'll say this. Main event, Green Bay Packers, Conrad. Green Bay Packers surrounding the ring, main event. I had a promo earlier in the night that was pretty lengthy that they laid out for me. Pinzer's got a comment on that. I think that was the night. And then that was a lot of moving parts. I'll just say that. And Bill always his style. Now look, and he ebbed and flowed and changed through the years, but he didn't, he knew me and Robbie were buddies, Scott Ricksteiner, and him and Robbie are close. And so I don't want to say he didn't trust me, but he's just like, all right. But I'm like, hey man, this is, let me just kind of lay this out. Let's just kind of go down there. I've been in a lot of lumberjacks and we got a lot of guys outside the ring that aren't smart to the business and all that. But I was saying I was diplomatically being the ring general that night and kind of knew the hand that I was dealt. But go back and watch it, Conrad. It was one of the Nitro main events that wasn't a Mac Classic, but I was damn proud of it because mission accomplished in so many ways. But boy, oh boy, I'll just leave with this. Conrad, I was running on about 2.5 hours sleep.
Let me go ahead and mention that next year when we, and I guess there's a chance there's another Starcast this year.
Okay.
But next year, if there is a Starcast in Dallas in July, and I don't think that's going to happen, but if it happens, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it's sponsored by Mando. Hey, Jeff, we just were talking about your only singles match against Goldberg, and you were sort of laying it out, all the other shenanigans, and you were trying to be the ring general. No. I just wanted to run through that match and run through that day specifically. This is December 6th, 1999 at the Milwaukee Arena.
Yep.
There's 7,250 fans there. It is a Monday Night Nitro. And this is what a crazy time this was in WCW. This is all on the same show, Jeff. As a reminder, you're correct. Lumberjack match, special guest referee Roddy Piper. It's Goldberg and Jeff Jarrett. Goldberg's going to win in 7 minutes and 15 seconds. That's the main event. But check out this undercard from 99 WCW.
Oh, God.
Norman Smiley beats Rhonda Singh in a WCW hardcore title match. That's the first match on the show. Norman Smiley and Rhonda Singh for the hardcore title.
Okay.
Secondly, we've got the New Japan Junior Heavyweight Championship changing hands when Jushin Thunder Liger beats Psychosis. What an incredible match.
Oh, okay.
Then we've got Medusa. This is real. Winning a number one contendership match for the cruiserweight title. It was a three-way with Medusa, Evan Courageous, and Mona, who we know is Molly Holly.
Get out of here.
A three-way to determine who's the number one contender for the men's cruiserweight belt. Then we would see Oklahoma tag with Dr. Death to take on Jerry Only and Vampiro. Jerry Only, if you're wondering, is a punk rock lead singer.
Yes.
And he's teaming with Vampiro against Oklahoma, who's Ed Ferrara doing cosplay Jim Ross. And after that, we saw the world title defended right in the middle of the show. Bret Hart's our world champion, and he's going to defend against the total package Lex Luger in 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
Okay.
Then there's Asia versus Midnight that went to a no contest. Then there's Roddy Piper in a 2-on-1 handicap I Quit match against Creative Control of Gerald and Patrick, spoofing the Stooges. Then we've got Ming and Dustin Rhodes that goes 1 minute and 14 seconds in a DQ.
Just a 3-hour show.
Then we had a career versus career match with Kurt Hennig and Larry Zbyszko. Kurt wins by DQ.
Good Lord.
Then Chris Benoit is going to wrestle Kevin Nash. They go to a no contest. Then Jerry Flynn's going to wrestle the Mastro in 50 seconds.
Oh, my God.
Then Sting's going to wrestle Scott Hall for 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Then DDP is going to wrestle Sid Vicious for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And last but certainly not least, Goldberg versus Jeff Jarrett.
How many lumberjacks?
That's the same show.
And look, having Piper, just Piper as a special referee is a lot for the Last Outlaw to carry or to get through, to figure out.
14 matches, Jeff.
And tell me who those lumberjacks were. Because I
don't know. I don't know.
They're not written down, but they're Green Bay Packers. And I know, of course, they all wanted to do something. It was a rough night at the office, pal, but we persevered. Oh, my God. 14 matches. Okay. That is, oh, my God, Conrad.
I mean, think about that. Intergender for the hardcore title to start. And it's Norman Smiley, super accomplished wrestler. Rhonda Singh, super accomplished wrestler. Like it's unbelievable. And then Jushin Liger and Psychosis.
Over 4 matches per hour.
That's so Jushin, Thunder Liger, and Psychosis for the New Japan Junior Heavyweight title. But immediately, the very next match is Medusa becoming the number one contender for the WCW Cruiser. What? I just love WCW 99 because it feels like a fever dream at this point.
Doesn't it though?
I mean, like they didn't do all this on the same show. Those didn't touch. You're making that up. No, they did.
Hey, with 7,000 people in the house.
Hey, you know what? Something else came up over the weekend I wanted to ask you about. The more I think about it, the more I think, hey, folks, our topic next week is No Surrender 2005.
It's a good one, too. It's a good one.
I can't wait to do it, but I know that we will have to rush through it because we've got a time limit going today, and there's no way we'll hit the story behind the story I really want to hit. But this news came across last week, and I thought, oh, I got to ask Jeff about this.
Oh, boy.
TNA President Carlos Silva, when asked if there were concerns about TNA talent leaving for WWE, he says, of course, but I think you have to take the good with the bad and understand how it actually helps continue to build TNA. I've been in and around the sports and entertainment business for a long time, and I've always focused on creating strong partnerships that help everyone. I don't lead by trying to attack others or create division to get ahead. I believe if you partner with people, you'll keep growing. All boats rise with the tide. Now, he said this to Ariel Helwani, friend of the show. I appreciate the approach and I appreciate the candor. I'm glad he's out here making some appearances, but I wanted to hear from you. What did you think of this statement from Carlos?
Here's what because I get asked about this, probably, Conrad, more than you would expect. Like, hey, what did you think of this? And I know I founded it and all that kind of stuff, but I get asked quite a bit. And I always go back to, in order for me to really give any kind of perspective or answer, is I know he recently made some comments on a deal. And again, that was at the very core of kind of our falling out. Was, I think we were so far off. Like, what is the goal here? Is it to get a television deal? Is it to go out and find that? Because it was my understanding when I signed in December of 2016 and went into 2017, that's the goal. It wasn't. And I don't to this day know what is the business model. Like, what is the plan? And partnerships are great, whether it's AEW or WWE or NOAH or whoever they partner on with. I'm trying to figure out, what is your goal here with all these partnerships, but more importantly, what's your goal here? Like, what's your direction? Where are you headed? Because at the end of the day, yeah, we're all producing content, but like Black ink, red ink, a little of in between, what's the goal? So he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, that he likes the partnerships and doesn't want division. He's been around a long time. I'm just very curious on, and look, that's not for me to know. It's for him to know and his vision and everything. But I don't know the direction of the company other than they've got a working relationship. Is it to eventually sell? That's what we don't. We don't know it, so it's really hard to understand what's your goal here. I don't know.
It is going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I think there's been discussion too that he was hoping to land a $10 million streaming rights deal. So maybe there could be a television deal in the near future for TNA. I guess he's sort of stated it, named it, claimed it. $10 million is the goal. I was kind of surprised by that number. It does feel like at that level, would you be surprised if WWE says, well, shit, for 10 million, I'll take a flyer on it?
Well, again, I guess it's in this day and age, our mind always used to think, is that a 1 hour show or a 2 hour show? Live, not live, taped. What's the production schedule? What's the finances? How's that going to work? What's the upside? How long a term a deal? All those kind of things. But the thing that jumped off my mind was 10 million. And he did it to complete his quote. That was for a year, right, Conrad? I
believe so. Yes, an annual basis.
Doesn't that feel way, way, way low? It feels low.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. I mean, listen,
look, I don't want that to. I wish all of them. It's very healthy for the industry. I wish them nothing but luck in all their ventures. I really do. And again, I'm on the outside looking in, so I just don't know.
We do know that this past week was the anniversary of Bash at the Beach 2000. We just passed the 25-year mark. That created a lot of conversation about that moment online. People sort of dredging up those old stories and old quotes from different places. I know that, lots of people have their opinion. And I know that you saw where our buddy Hurricane from WWE, the real life Shane Helms, he quote tweeted it and said, embarrassing, talking about the worked shoot program. Vince Russo jumped on and replied to that tweet and said, embarrassing for starters. It was a work that Hulk was in on. For finishers, have you watched the product of the company you work for lately?
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Hurricane replied, being a work or shoot isn't the point. Either way, it sucked ass. It sucked then and still sucks in retrospect. And yeah, I watch my company along with the huge crowds that are having a great time. Have a good day. So everybody's got their opinion about this, and I wanted to know what you thought of Hurricane chiming in saying embarrassing.
Well, oh well. It's interesting how folks will, now we're here 25 years later, And look, the creative control issue and all the fallout and everything that went with it. And there's so many different sides of the story. And what Russo brought up, hey man, Hulk was a part of it. Well, then when wasn't he a part of it? I mean, look, we don't need to rehash it. We've done a podcast that still gets a boatload of downloads. God bless the folks. I'm glad they're engaged on it. But kind of the fact of the matter is, over the last however many years, I mean, everything is subjective, down to Bash at the Beach, down to the finger poke of doom, down to, I mean, you could, whether it's WCW, we just brought up that entire, episode, and there's many of those, and all the WWE programming and everything went with it. But for whatever reason, that night, I think is the best way, had a documentary on it. People are still talking about it. Boy, oh boy, if our business is to create and connect emotionally with fans, good or bad, and I truly believe this, I would say there's a lot of other things out there that sucked, and for somebody to say embarrassing, Shane, there's quite a few things out there that I think that he was involved in that would go much higher on the level of embarrassing. Maybe wasn't anybody's cup of tea. Maybe it was a cesspool of he said, she said, and we all know it was a chess play by multiple players. I was the pawn in it in so many ways, but it's funny how a guy will drop in embarrassing and forget.
Wait! You took that personally? Hurricane calling that embarrassing?
No, I think it's funny.
Yeah, I think that's funny. I'm like, don't get hot, God damn it! He's fucking around. Like,
I think it's funny that to this day people still respond on it.
Yes. Now that I do agree, because it was so long ago. But listen, it still gets people fired up, and it is interesting with all the silliness. I'm glad we're talking about this, because I've got some friends in my life who are hardcore WWE fans, and they just don't like anything AEW does. They've just decided they're the enemy, and I don't like them. And hey, Lord bless them. Whatever.
I mean, I think Shane's come in as a part of tribalism in a way.
But he worked for the company.
Oh, you saying WCW? I got you.
He worked for WCW, so I don't think that's tribalistic, what Shane was saying. But let's move on for a minute. I wanted to ask you about this because some of my WWE friends, they don't work for WWE. They love their product. They will sometimes be very, very critical of the use of Big Boom AJ and Big Justice and the Rizzler.
Okay.
Now, that being said, and listen, I hear you. I know that I was in the crowd when they started making their way down the ramp, and I heard a lot of that crowd boo the fire out of them. But I also saw, as soon as they showed the Rizzler, the place erupted.
Yes.
So this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertaining. I, for one, am all about some Big Boom AJ and Big Justice. And I would challenge you, if you've decided you don't like those people, how about you meet them in real life first? What a wonderful family. What great people. I'm a big fan.
Oh, it's fun.
They're exposing the product to a new audience. And I think it's interesting that now we've become, this level of tribalism has now crossed over into who are the mainstream crossovers. And so we've got the Costco guys on the AEW show, and WWE fans are like, this is a joke. And now they're about to present Jelly Roll in a tag match at SummerSlam.
Yes.
And I, for one, think both opportunities are huge. I have to admit, I don't even have TikTok, so they were not on my radar. But once I started seeing anything they posted went more viral than anyone else in wrestling, I understood the value in the Costco guys. I have to admit, even though he doesn't live very far from me, I don't have a single Jelly Roll song on my phone. But I understand that the dude's sold out everywhere he goes, and he's just printing money. He's one of the biggest acts in music today. I totally get that.
Good old Nashville boy.
I see the value of having Jelly Roll there. But the idea that fans are upset that either exists to me is a real head scratcher.
But it kind of goes back to whether we're talking about Bash at the Beach or Shane or Rizzler or Jelly Roll or any of, I mean, I'm going back to my Orlando Sentinel article. Shit, I love it. Please comment on it. It's the engagement on it. That's, yeah, I don't know. Is there some, and I have not doubted it. Is there pushback on Jelly Roll? Because, wow, even the most tribalistic of all tribalistic, he's the hottest. I know there's probably a few acts up at that level, but not many. I mean, not many are at Jelly Roll's level as it sits today. He is red hot. He's going to bring nothing but eyeballs. I am surprised how quickly they got him into a tag match. Aren't you? Like, boom, boom, boom. SmackDown, boom.
He's been working on it for a while. They had to wait until they came to Nashville.
Oh, I get that. I know. I get that, but it's like, how far is the event out? 3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, it's end of the month.
Yeah, good for them.
But I am curious. Like, I'm going to asking you not now as a wrestling fan, but as a we'll call it, at least for now, temporarily, former wrestling promoter. If any wrestling promoter in history was approached by an act who had the following and sales that Jelly Roll had. So at any point in history, I'm not saying Jelly Roll in particular, but I'm saying any act. If that performer contacted the promoter and expressed interest in doing a match, at any point in wrestling history, would a promoter have said no? Here's what I'm getting at. When the opportunity presented itself for Mr. T, an actor, to wrestle, Vince put him in the main event of WrestleMania when he had leveraged everything he had or ever would have. He went all in, and Mr. T was in the main event. Cyndi Lauper was also a big part of that opportunity in that presentation. I'm just saying, throughout history, people have made fun of these sort of integrations, especially when it comes to like an Eric Bischoff and his use of Jay Leno. But the reality is, he was doing whatever it took to court attention. You know, like, I can't imagine at any point in history, and listen, I'm a huge Jim Cornette fan, love him to death. I haven't heard his take on Jelly Roll, but I'm sure he's got one, and I bet it's not very favorable. But I would be willing to say that if a star the size of Jelly Roll, and that's not a fat joke as a fellow fat guy, I just mean the following that he has. If that person would have expressed interest in doing something with Smoky Mountain Wrestling, their ass is getting booked, right, Jeff?
Oh shit! Are you kidding? Hell yes. No, okay. You call it you called it X, but I'm promoting other things, just not professional wrestling today. No, Conrad, like it never even really. I mean, you know, I've been bashed at TNA about the NASCAR crossover or what was it? The Survivor crossover. I think Dixie jumped her skis because Jenna was not Marasco or whatever. Her in-ring ability was never going to be there. So maybe do it a different way. But like all the crossover stuff that I've ever done, I never gave it a second thought because the wrestling fans will criticize. I'm saying the hardcore wrestling fans, they want wrestling. And so they're going to criticize anything that's not collar and elbow lockup. But I love that about them. It's not like that. Oh, I hate that you think that way. I'm not trying to sit here and change what you're thinking. But what I do want to let you know is that I want to bring new people to the product. Like, without question, new people to the product. Any possible way. You know, oh gosh, because you were telling a story in this. Oh, Tales of the Territory. That series of shows. I truly believe this because I've had folks come up to me, airports, different things. Hey man, I watch your Tales of the Territory, and you know, I hadn't watched wrestling since I was a kid, but man, and literally the guy's 30 or 40, 50 years old. I hadn't seen it, and like he said, hey, I've kind of started watching you on AEW. I'm like, so and Dark Side and Tales of the Territory or Doc, whatever it is, or negative publicity, Jelly Roll, Rizzler, whoever it may be. it's always going to be highly criticized. But man, as long as folks are talking about it, Conrad, and I know that sometimes comment gets met with a lightning rod. No, Jeff, but they're talking bad. Okay, that's the ones you're hearing. Don't act like that's everyone. It opens the door. I believe that firmly.
Absolutely. We always appreciate Cash App, and thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We're talking about what a crazy week it was. It's hard to believe we're going to blink and Forbidden Door is going to be here and SummerSlam's going to be here. I mean, I know that, we've talked a little bit about the tribalism in wrestling, but it does feel like this past week was one for the ages. I mean, you had a huge Monday Night Raw, and then we had, NXT, and then Dynamite and Collision and TNA, and then SmackDown and a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and then Starcast and NXT and All In and Saturday night's main event and Evolution, and we're back at it tonight with Netflix. Like, it feels like there's just a never-ending barrage of wrestling hitting us all right now. I didn't even realize it, and everything that I was doing with Starcast yesterday, as I'm leaving the hotel, I bump into one of our day one Starcast fans, a big Tony Schiavone podcast listener, who told me he was on his way to a Joshi show at 11:30 in the morning on Sunday. I didn't even know that was happening in Dallas. I mean, has there been a better time to be a wrestling fan than right now, as far as just the engagement and access and constant barrage of, I feel like this is maybe the most rewarding time to be a fan right now, because you have so much to choose from.
So I'll go out, I'll double down or get layered into this. Conrad, it goes without saying the Attitude Era was red hot, and everybody truly remembers that. Just kind of the groundbreaking in so many different ways. I mean, on Tuesday mornings on every form of radio, and again, it's a different time, but that's all anybody ever talked about. It's prior to social. Anyway, the Attitude Era goes without saying. The 90s, early 2000s were booming. And then, the WCW and closing up shop. I don't think anybody really understood, I'll say, the negative effect that it had on the industry. And then along comes TNA, and we got up and running, and we were, we'll call it the alternative brand. And, I didn't befriend Dave Meltzer, as you pointed out. But anyway, there was a lot of negative chatter, but we got rolling, and we won't get into the missteps and all that. But one thing, Conrad, when I truly believe, I look back on 2013 and 14, and I, just as my own personal experience, but kind of the thoughts I had with Global Force is, the world we live in now is so connected, and everybody knows everything about everybody and all the other promotions. And there was just a mindset that the chairman, Vince McMahon, had, is don't mention anything about any other promotions. Well, obviously, things rolled along, but now here we are in 2025. I don't think the business would be where it's at without the understanding of New Japan, of AAA, of CMLL. That panel, that would have never happened years ago. It just, A, there wouldn't be the amount of massive interest, and B, would the promoters work together, and C, and all the different things. So I just think with the rollout of technology and the vision and the ability to, whether it's Rev Pro, a hell of a promotion in the UK, and they're a smaller but a super successful independent. But then you go into the New Japans and all, Noah and the different promotions in Japanese and in Japan, and then all across Europe and Mexico. And then you just kind of look at Game Changer Wrestling and all the folks at Fight/Triller that have the ability to tune in, the NWA, and just all the different promotions. I don't want to say working together, but the availability of it. And so I think all that, I'm saying, going a long way around to saying, is you take the cume of all the wrestling chatter, and I think that's what we're seeing, the fruits of it today. That if you're a wrestling fan, you just said it. Okay, on a Sunday morning after the big event, you can go see that. It's that's where I just think the business has radically changed, in that you can really get connected with multiple fan bases and it's just it's with the click of a button, and you can watch. I mean, just we're all in this together. As corny as that may sound, but that is something, the ad-free family. I don't tell you the Starcast line. Hey man, listen to your podcast. Hey man, listen to your podcast. I got several of the folks. The guy from Northern California was funny, and Karen just said, "Can you read that opinion?" Yeah, and the guy said, "Yeah. I was in high school, Jeff. I had visions. I literally wanted to beat the shit out of you often." And Karen was like, "Whoa, now." And like he said it with anger. And anyway, but I listen to your podcast. So Conrad, the ad-free family has really connected an audience in so many ways. But anyhow, your question was, has it ever been I just think, no, it's not even, I don't think there's been anywhere close to this big a time of the awareness and the amount of professional wrestling chatter. And it proves in the pudding. We're going on shit. So we'll end up a 14-day run. I don't know. Next Sunday, I don't think there's programming. Since we had programming yesterday, one of the major companies from Monday to the following Saturday, maybe, Conrad? Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, let's talk a little bit about something that happened on Saturday night. We saw Seth Rollins.
I was wondering if you had an update for me on that. Cody asked me about that this morning at breakfast. I said, Cody, I don't know.
Lots of discussion about whether or not it was a legitimate injury that happened during the course of the match, or based on a report from Dave Meltzer, because Dave said everyone's treating it like it was a legitimate injury that happened. But others have said, hey, or at least one person told Dave, hey, he heard about this idea of this angle on Thursday. So now there's another report out there that says that Seth was already injured coming into the match, but they needed the injury to happen on television to have an explained absence. Maybe they're going to use this shroud of mystery to say, oh, he's got this sort of injury and he won't be back for 9 months, and then he'll come back much sooner or something as a surprise. As a reminder, he had the Money in the Bank case. So I think logically, I think a lot of people, had you not done an injury spot on a show like this, if Goldberg would have won, or as the title match came down to its final moments, I think a lot of people would have thought to themselves, self, they're not really going to put the belt on Goldberg. So let's be looking at the ramp to see if Seth Rollins is going to run down with the case. So to eliminate that, if he's injured and it feels legitimate, now we don't have to worry about that, and the focus can just be on Goldberg. If that's what they did, I love it. If they've convinced everybody that he's really injured, work more severely than he actually is, I love it. Because now people are reporting, well, he was backstage at Evolution with a knee brace on. I mean, I think he's had that knee brace for over 10 years now. So I hope he's not injured. I don't want anyone to be injured. I don't want anyone to be on the shelf and not able to do what they have trained their whole life to do for 9 months. I hope if he is on the shelf, it's very brief. But I see some people online who are saying, this is bullshit. They shouldn't do this to us. And I, on the other hand, am like, I love it. We're not supposed to know who's injured and who's not injured. I like the idea that we don't know if it's real or not. I hope we get no clarity on it. Like, this is what makes wrestling fun. This is the way it used to be. That access that we enjoy now as fans, I think blurring those lines, it's a wonderful thing. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I had no idea, or I didn't remember that he holds the case.
Yeah.
That's great. Man, I damn sure hope for so many reasons. Most importantly, his health. Hell yeah, I hope it's a work that he's not really injured, and everybody get on the right. That's the essence of the business. I mean, Conrad, remember, not to digress, but remember the Snowman, Jerry Lawler shoot interview, bust in, Memphis TV, and that was a time, and the way it was done, nobody was in on it. There were some people internal in our business. Guy named Guy Coffey who ran the pictures. Buddy Wayne did the ring. There were a lot of people that, quote unquote, should have probably been smartened up that weren't, that could have been a little dangerous, because you just never knew. But man, I mean, it was Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, Eddie Crawford, Snowman. I'm trying to think. I wasn't smart into it. I just kind of kept my mouth shut. It made a lot of people really, really mad, but it also made a lot of people believe and the way they did it. And at the end of the day, that was probably, it certainly wasn't my first, but it was really one of those lessons that I was smart enough to the business and watch people respond to this is how they're acting when they are of the belief that this really went down. And I learned a lot from it. I learned an awful lot from it. And I think at the very core and art of our business, it's the only way to go. Now, it's why the layer, well, who should be brought in? I know internally at AEW, so many things are protected. And I get that for this specific reason. I get it in so many ways, but Conrad, it's the art of what we do, period. Like game, set, match. The art of what we do is getting people to get engaged into the product by blurring the lines. I used to say what we do is getting people to believe. Well, you're going to believe anything, but I think the art of our industry, to sum it up, is getting people engaged by blurring the lines between fact and fiction. I think that's the essence of what we do.
Let's set the record straight on some fact or fiction today. We're going to get ourselves in trouble here in this final segment here.
Oh my God, here we go.
Aleister Black is a super talented performer who we first saw on a mainstream in NXT and then later WWE, and he enjoyed his time in AEW, and now he's back in WWE. And there was an online narrative and discourse that, for whatever reason, the real life man behind the character, Aleister Black, maybe had a little Mil Mascaris in him and said, "No yob." There was a report, multiple reports, that he did not want to put anyone over. He did not want to lose matches in AEW. Have you heard that report before about Aleister Black? Because when he lost in 2 minutes to Ron Killings this past Friday on SmackDown, the internet went wild on him. And I thought to myself, I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if it's fair that, AEW fans are coming to dunk on a guy for losing to Ron Killings when Ron Killings is one of the hottest acts in WWE right now. Just losing, period. But I've never, again, I'm not in AEW. I don't know. But the idea that someone was hesitant to put over another talent, is that real in 2025? Is it that big a deal to lose a match in 2025? Like the idea that a guy gets hung with that narrative of, oh, he doesn't want to lose matches. He doesn't want to put anybody over. Is that real, Jeff, in 2025?
Here's what I don't think people will ever understand. The short answer is yes, but I think there's so many layers. It's not about winning and losing. It is about when you're winning and when you're losing, and there's so many different layers on that. The answer to your question in that, okay, I'm getting beat here. Where's this going next? If the answer is hell, I don't know, then that's okay. Then okay, fair enough. But yeah, because at the end of the day, I go back to one of my early conversations with Bob Carter, but I've also heard my father tell the story multiple different ways in that, why is professional wrestling so different? It's not sport. So, okay, it's not true sport. So football, basketball, baseball, any sport, take it off the page. You cannot compare it to it. It's not apples to apples. Okay. On the other side, let's go Broadway, television show, sitcom, Hollywood, blockbuster movie, whatever it may be. When you throw all that in there, okay, John Wayne is playing this character this week and another character this week, or plug in any actor you want, whether it's on the Broadway stage, whether it's a television show, whether it's a movie, all this. In wrestling, you're playing the role of an extension of your personality, if you would. Okay. So with that being said, you are your commodity, you are your business. Some folks don't understand it to the level that others do, but now you get into it and say, okay, I've got to have long-term growth here, or I've got to make the most money because this is the role and really the only role I'm cast in. Yeah, you can wear different gimmicks and this and that, but at the end of the day, I don't care if you've worn a mask and a zoot suit and all this kind of stuff. You're still kind of this one commodity of whatever your 1099 looks like. So then when you get into the core of it, how am I going to advance my career? And so I think the layer upon layer upon layer, winning and losing I've gotten over by far in many of the matches I've lost. And that's just the fact of the matter is. But with that being said, it is the conversation. Hey, 50% of the guys that show up at work are probably, I don't want to say unhappy if you really want to embellish things, but I don't say unhappy, but they're at least going to question the direction of their career. Now you can get engaged and know that certain talent, okay, this is this week, and you've got a 10-week program, a 12-week program, a 3-week program, a 4-week program. So Conrad, that goes to kind of say, I think that is at the end of the day, what makes our business so different in that point that you just put out, the false narrative that goes out on Tommy or Alistair, this is out. Oh my God, he gets beats in 2 minutes. The whole world then projects and goes into these expectations in their head. Oh my God, can you imagine what he's thinking now? I mean, it's why we love the business. And I really mean that. It's because it's so freaking unique. It like, Conrad, I know in your finance business, you don't deal with your MLOs coming in and, okay, half of them are going to kind of question the decisions I'm making for them today. It's just different. And I think that's why we love it, whether we're in the business or out of the business or whatever level we're around it. I think it's one of the things that makes it so unique. Does that make sense?
It does. And it reminds me of the conversation we had last week about Ryback, where he was pushing that, hey guys, it's like physical acting. It's a Hollywood production. And, because I saw people saying, oh, LOL, he lost to R-Truth in 2 minutes. What does it matter who he lost to? R-Truth's one of the top acts in the promotion. Like, the whole thing is just, it's this weird subculture within a subculture within a subculture. And you can get so inception with it that the nuance becomes more important than what it really was. Hey, did we forget that he was in front of a dang near sold out Bridgestone Arena in downtown Nashville, a show where Jelly Roll was there? And, they probably went a little long with Jelly Roll and Logan Paul. And so the match got cut and yada, yada, yada. Like, none of this means anything, but the tribalism now is like any little misstep. Like, I saw people posting pictures again, the pay-per-view went on the air with the pre-show at noon. So of course the first opening shots are people still filing in. And I saw people posting, LOL, just mark this event a failure. And it's like,
wait,
people are parking and trying to get in.
It's Saturday at All In?
Yes.
Oh my Lord. I didn't.
And I'm like, are you serious, bro? Like, why don't you let them get in there first? Because I'll tell you this, as somebody who walked around the building, were there tarps in the upper deck across from the hard cam side? Sure, of course. But think about how many fucking people were there. You're talking nearly 30,000 folks.
Come on.
How can we frame this as anything other than success? I'm just saying all this to say, guys, let's go enjoy some wrestling together. This is supposed to be fun.
Here's I tried to explain this. Oh my gosh. I've tried to a couple of times to Karen, but a couple of other different things. You just said, hey man, can't we just go have some fun and enjoy wrestling? I'm paraphrasing, but you basically said that.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is that's exactly what people do when they're bitching and complaining. And
they like it.
They love it. They're living vicariously through the business. So tweet the pictures of whatever they want, all this and all that. That's a part of being, quote unquote, a wrestling fanatic. I don't want to say fan because I think there are people, oh, no. But being a fanatic means you're going to either love or hate everything. I think that's I'm positive That's part of the fun. That's part of the experience. That's why I love it. I mean, I absolutely love it. Conrad, just quick baseball story, okay? But it relates to wrestling. So last Monday in Springfield, Illinois, Springfield Lucky Horseshoes, we hosted the All-Star game. Tuesday night was the All-Star game, but Monday night was the Home Run Derby. Have you ever been to a Home Run Derby, Conrad, live?
No.
I had never been to one live. So the way they did it is they take the top 8 seeds that the first half of the season, who has the most home runs. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our guy, old Louie, was number 8. He had just gotten in a couple of race tires. So the number 1 seed, so you have, all 8 of them got up there hit. So you had the quarterfinal round, and then they took out of those 8, then they took the top 4, and then they had the semifinal round, and out of those 4, they took the 2. So Conrad, it got down to the number 1 seed, Wally, kid from Dominican Republic. He crushed it, and he got in to the finals, and our number 8 seed got in the finals. A hometown boy made it to the finals. And man, when you swing a bet, the first round and the second round were 90 seconds. Go try to hit pitches for 90 straight seconds. Those kids were gassed. Then they got to come back to the finals round, and you get 2 minutes, and you have 1 timeout. You can call 1 timeout. So, I mean, I have never seen that stadium, and I've been 3 or 4 years, whatever it is now, but in games, I've never felt the energy and the excitement and the buzz when the finals was set. And so our guy gets up, he goes first because he had the less home runs, and I think he got 8 home runs in that 2 minutes. So now it gets down to the number 1 seed, old Wally, and we'll call him the heel because he's supposed to win, and he's the away guy and our hometown guy and all this. I'm saying all this to say, but the buzz and the energy and the excitement, everybody in the stadium was standing on their hands and feet. They had been chanting for our guy in the final round, or they're chanting all the way through, but they run. So then he gets up there. So old Wally steps up to the plate, and for the first minute, 15 seconds, he had because it was about a minute anyway, but he had 6 home runs, and he had hit about 4 or 5 that were little simple line drives. He wasn't getting under it. So he's like, man, because those guys would hit 7, 8, 9 pitches and they weren't going out. You got to get in the rhythm. So he called timeout. So when he stepped back in the plate and the clock was going to go, it's like, all right, this guy's got to get, and at this late in the thing, this guy's got to hit 2 home runs. And the buzz and the energy. And look, you just don't know these, but the excitement of, this is how I related to a wrestling match, whether it's a sporting event or what it is. Okay, now we're getting down to it. We're about to see the finish. We're about to see the 1, 2, 3. And that kid got up there, and they threw the first pitch they threw. That ball is still going today. He cranked it out. So that tied it. The very next pitch, you could have heard a pin drop as it was. He cracked that bad boy. It went a lot further than any home run of the night because just the trajectory, way over the scoreboard. It was well over 400 feet. It kept going. But just the buzz and the energy and the excitement on that, and that's what it was about, the human emotion, just everybody on their hands and feet, standing ovation, lots of cheers. And our hometown guy didn't win, but we saw a show. That's where I'm kind of going with it. We saw a show, and that's the core of what entertainment's about, whether it's scripted or non-scripted, whatever it may be. When Hangman opened that case, you just went, hell yeah. This is what it's all about. So a lot of fun, pal. A lot of fun.
I loved it. We hope you guys did too. We're going to be back next week talking all things No Surrender 2005. Pretty controversial show. We're going to start, and we're going to hit Jeff right between the eyes with some. Wait. Should he or shouldn't he have been suspended from TNA? That's what we'll be talking about next week here on the program. In the meantime, I hope you'll make plans to join Jeff. He's going to be back on the road this week for AEW. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTIX.com. Jeff, who's getting a guitar necklace? The next guitar necklace. Do you have somebody in your sights? What can we expect next for you?
I've got several, but you know what? I'm pretty excited about that. We're heading into our summer residency. We're doing some baseball promotions around it. My man Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh. It'll be tonight as you're listening to this, July 15th, over in Kane County, right outside of Chicago. But we're doing a 6-show Chicago residency. Looking forward to this, Conrad. You know how I like residencies. So AEW, and we're all eyes are pointed toward Forbidden Door. But I've got a couple of guys that I've got on the radar for the guitar necklace, pal. I'll keep it to myself right now, though.
You know, now I figure we should go ahead and finish with a big surprise. We're going to welcome our very special guest into the program. Ladies and gentlemen, with a very special note here. On July 14th. We've got a little bit of song coming your way from the one and only Dave Silva.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, JEFFJARRETT. Happy birthday to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Jarrett is 39 years old today. Be sure to send him all of your happy birthday well wishes on social media. Happy 39, Double J. Man, next year's the big 4-0. We're pumped for you, dude.
39 and holding, and it's going to be one heck of a year. Uncle Dave Silva, you just kicked it off. I thought I was going to get out of this episode with not even mentioning it, but 39, boys, 39. Feel good.
I hope you get that AEW world title over your head by the time you turn 40. Can we just keep our fingers crossed for that?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. We'll see you next week right here on My World.
Peace.